Using TOPS and procedural anatomy for simulation. This is for people who are not familiar with TOPS. We'll do just the bare minimum to get going. TOPS are task operators. Procedural anatomy uses them to cache animations and simulations. In procedural anatomy, by default, we create top networks named automate. One is for animation, one is for simulation. Let's go into the animation network. TOPS reside in their own network compared to the rest of the procedural anatomy. TOPS operate with a render flag system. You must set the render flag on the node you want to output. This will be the end of the chain. You may press the buttons in the menu bar to cook, generate, or stop. To execute a node, select it, and then press cook. Let's go to the task graph to see our simulation happening. There we go. You can see different attributes that our simulation has. The anatomy anim work items node has generated a lot of different attributes. Oh, it's already done. In any case, the main ones here are animation index and char index, which refer to the anatomy import nodes, animations. This is animation 1, you can see, and character 1. So we only have character 1 and animation 1. These attributes are how we visualize the character index and the current index as an anim index for changing animations during caching. Sometimes you may run into a problem with this one failing, the anatomy anim fetch, or any of the other fetches we use, and it says a permissions error. If you run into this one, you can always try changing the cook type to in process, and the cook will run in the Houdini session that you have open. This is not as fast as out of process in some situations, but it's a in process, meaning that it's using your current Houdini session. Out of process, meaning that it's going to create one in the background so you can keep working in this session. And this is the preferred one to use, out of process. If we go to the simulation side and we dirty the original network, we can see we've got an anatomy rig load with char index, anim index. So you must make sure you don't use the animation network, only the simulation one for that. So we dirty the animation network. And then we can look at our character animation and our character. We are going to be using character 1, animation 1, and we have our caching set by default to not cache the vellum muscle simulation, only cache the resulting version of that with the bones as well. We're not caching our tissue simulation. We're only caching the output of the skin, which is a triangulated mesh versus your input render mesh. Now let's go in, view this. We must set a output node. Now if we go in and use Shift G to start our simulation, we've skipped over the muscles based on the anim index, char index, whether we're scheduling the skin, skeleton, tissue collision. And it will now run the simulation on this one. These are mainly used if you need to turn these on to check your simulation is working correctly. You don't need to run that if it does do it correctly the first time. And there you have it. You're now simulating with procedural anatomy. Your caches will appear to load in here once they are available, tissue collision or the skin. And you can view the results in the output node as well. That is how you use procedural anatomy with TOPS.